Hey everyone, welcome back to Living Beyond the Invisible, A Walk with Heather, the podcast that sheds some light on the realities of living with invisible disabilities. I'm your host Heather, and today's episode is called The Mask We Wear. A quick note before we get started. I hope you noticed that the name of the podcast has changed from Living Beyond the Invisible to Living Beyond the Invisible, A Walk with Heather. The reason for this is I have a page on Facebook and Instagram called A Walk with Heather, A Warrior's Journey. And it is a health and weight loss page where I document all of my health issues and my weight loss journey. I decided combining the two made the most sense. So I hope you will follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And the new name for that page is Living Beyond the Invisible, A Walk with Heather. All right, let's get started with today's show. If you've ever smiled through pain, nodded when you didn't understand, laughed when you felt like crying, or said, "I'm fine," when you really weren't, this episode is for you, my friends. Today we're talking about masking. What it is, why we do it, and what it cost us, both emotionally and physically. This topic is at the very heart of living with an invisible disability, because often we spend more time trying to look okay than actually being okay. So let's define it. What is masking? Masking is the act of concealing, minimizing, or altering your symptoms, behaviors, or identity to fit social norms or avoid negative judgment. It's like wearing a mask, hiding your authentic self to appear normal. Masking is especially common among people with neurodivergent conditions like autism, ADHD, and learning disabilities. But it's also seen in individuals with mental health conditions, chronic illnesses, autoimmune disorders, and chronic pain. Basically, any condition that isn't immediately visible. Here's the tricky part though. Masking often works. It allows people to maintain jobs, relationships, and routines. But that doesn't mean it's sustainable or that it's healthy. The National Alliance on Mental Illness describes masking as a defense mechanism, a shield, something we do when we feel unsafe showing our full selves. And it's not just about what we mask. It's also about how often and how long we do it. So why do we start masking in the first place? What leads us to that? Well, the thing is, most of us learn it early. Maybe it was a teacher who told you you were too sensitive, or a parent who expected you to push through the fatigue, or a workplace that praised you for being a trooper while you were silently suffering. These experiences teach us that to be accepted, we must appear fine, that our pain, our confusion, our needs are just burdens. And that lesson runs deep. For people with invisible disabilities, the pressure to conform is amplified by stigma. There's a cultural narrative that equates visible symptoms with legitimacy. If people can't see it, they often don't believe it. A 2019 survey by Scope UK found that nearly 2 out of 3 disabled people felt they had to pretend not to be disabled in the workplace. Guys, that's not just frustrating, that's dehumanizing. This is where masking becomes a second nature. A smile becomes armor. A joke becomes a shield. We learn how to make others comfortable, even when it costs us our authenticity. Masking doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's subtle. Here are just a few examples. In social settings, laughing at jokes you don't understand due to cognitive fatigue, or avoiding talking about symptoms to keep things light. At work, forcing yourself to sit through meetings even while in pain, pretending to be focused when brain fog is clouding every thought. With healthcare providers, downplaying symptoms out of fear of being labeled as difficult, dramatic, or even drug-seeking. Yes, it does happen. On social media, only posting the good days so people don't think you're attention-seeking or negative. That one I am guilty of. Actually, I'm guilty of all of those, if we're being honest. These micro-masking moments accumulate. Even when we appear to function well, that appearance comes at a very high cost. So let's talk about that cost. Masking is exhausting. It requires constant vigilance. You're not just living with your condition or conditions. You're managing how those conditions look to everyone else. That double or triple burden can lead to burnout, which is mental and physical collapse from chronic overexertion, anxiety and depression from the stress of being on all the time, and the disconnect between your inner and outer self. Loss of identity. When you hide your truth long enough, you may forget what it even feels like to live authentically. Medical harm. Masking can delay diagnosis or cause people to push through symptoms that need urgent attention. So for me, I'm at a point where I have masked for so long that I sometimes forget what it's like to just be able to be honest. Now, I am an honest person. I don't lie about things. That's not what I mean. But when I say I'm fine, or I hide the pain, the fatigue, the brain fog, when I hide those things, I'm not living my true self. I'm trying to be someone I'm not so that I don't make others uncomfortable. That is what we live with every day, and it is beyond exhausting. So let's move on. In one 2020 study in Autism in Adulthood, researchers found a direct correlation between masking and adverse mental health outcomes, including suicidal ideation. What's even more painful is that masking doesn't guarantee protection. People may still judge. They may misunderstand or even reject you still. Even when you are doing everything right. So now you might be wondering, what's the alternative? I mean, Heather, what can we do? If masking helps us survive in ableist systems, how do we begin to unmask, and is it even safe to? Guys, unmasking doesn't mean disclosing everything to everyone all the time. It doesn't mean going up to a stranger and telling them your life story. It just means giving yourself permission to stop performing, to stop apologizing for who you are, to take that mask off and let your true self show. Here are some ways unmasking might look. Setting boundaries without guilt. It is okay to set boundaries that will help you, and you can do it without feeling guilty. Being honest about needing rest or accommodations. If you are exhausted, if you are in pain and you need rest or you need special accommodations, it's okay to do that. It's also okay to ask for clarification instead of pretending you understand. Somebody says something and you don't quite understand because your brain fog is crazy that day. It's okay to ask for clarification. It's okay to ask for help. Also, wearing comfort gear such as mobility aids, noise canceling headphones, braces, sunglasses, using a service dog. You can do all of that without shame. I am currently in the process of training my own service dog because I'm at a point of needing one. And you know what? That's just fine. That's what we need. That's okay. Saying no, even when it disappoints someone. I get it. We don't want to disappoint people. I know I don't. I hate saying no to people. I hate feeling like I've let that person down. But you know what? Sometimes we have to. And we shouldn't be shamed or guilted for it. Because it's okay to need to say no. It's also about choosing environments and relationships that allow for authenticity. You deserve to exist in spaces where you don't have to constantly manage your illness or your neurodivergence to make others comfortable. For me, there are a few people in my life that I am able to be myself with. Very few people, but I enjoy being around those people the most because I don't have to hide who I am and they're not going to judge me for who I am. So if you're someone listening who doesn't live with an invisible disability, here's what I really think you need to know. Just because someone looks okay doesn't mean they are okay. Let me say that again because I think some of you need to really hear it and listen and let it sink in. Just because someone looks okay does not mean they are okay. Just because you cannot see their illness does not mean they are lying or that they don't have an illness. Please don't judge unless you know the whole truth. Your friend who cancels plans may be dealing with a flare-up. That quiet coworker over in the corner might be fighting brain fog. The person who seems high functioning might just be masking their way through every moment of the day. One of the most powerful things you can do is believe people. Believe them when they say they're in pain. Believe them when they say they're tired or overwhelmed or struggling. And if you're in a position of power as a manager, a teacher, a healthcare provider, work to create environments where people don't have to choose between being honest and being safe. We talked a little bit about this earlier, but there's this unspoken rule in our culture that says productivity equals worth, that strength means silence, that you're only allowed to be unwell if it's visible or temporary. If you have a cast, you'll get sympathy. But if you have PTSD, fibromyalgia, lupus, or any other invisible disability, people often just don't get it. It's not always overt discrimination either. It's the side comments that really get you. The you don't look sick, the everyone gets tired, or the dreaded have you tried yoga? And I've gotten all of those. And they're annoying. So please don't do that. So we learn to hide. We suppress, we smile when it hurts, and over time, we become strangers to ourselves. I would like to end today by encouraging you to take a quiet moment and ask yourself these questions. Where are you masking? What would it feel like to take that mask off, even just a little bit? Who in your life makes it safe for you to be unfiltered, unmasked, be your true self? Masking is not your fault. It's a survival response in a world that hasn't always made space for difference. But unmasking, even in small ways, can be an act of healing, of reclaiming your truth, of honoring your body, your mind, and your energy. And one final reminder, your worth is not measured by how well you hide your pain or how productive you are. You don't have to earn rest. You don't have to perform resilience. You are enough. Take that mask off. Thanks for joining me today on Living Beyond the Invisible, A Walk with Heather. If you'd like to learn more about me or the podcast, please follow me on Facebook at Living Beyond the Invisible, A Walk with Heather. I will have it linked along with some resources from today in the show notes. I'm Heather, and I'll see you next time. Take care, and remember, some of the bravest things we do are the things no one can see.